most sought after cologne of the cologne market, made by Armaf. So this is what we're looking at right here. Nothing too fancy, nothing crazy. Nice box though. This is the 3.4 Eau de Parfum, excuse me. Nothing fancy here. Batch number, fragrance made in France, made in April of 2023. So, this is, of course, the cologne of Green Irish Tweed by Creed. Creed, who I think is probably the most cloned fragrance house, and if Creed was not exorbitantly and prohibitively expensive, I don't think there'd be that many companies trying to clone it. But two things have led to the fall of the House of Creed, and there's actually a new Netflix show called Fall of the House of Usher. I think there should be a documentary called Fall of the House of Creed. One is the fact that they rest on their laurels and their fragrances are ridiculously overpriced, and two, they sold out, and the new batches are watered down skeletons of what the originals were. So this is not a Creed bashing video, but just to say that that is why I think that you have so many great Creed alternatives. Let's go ahead and open it. Oh, that was loud. That was loud. Armaf. And by the way, how great are these Middle Eastern fragrances? I don't know where they have been hiding, and I don't know why they have been hiding with these Middle Eastern fragrance houses. Armaf, Al Haramain, Latafa. I don't know why you would want to choose anything else, honestly. And there's the cologne. Let's get it out. These felt things on the put on this box, probably polyester, but I could listen to this all day, man. That's probably one of my biggest triggers, man. I love it. Triggers in ASMR actually is a good thing, believe it or not. Everywhere else you get triggered, that's bad. Run away. Here's the bottle. Tres Nuit. Pour home. And it's got this leather belt wrapped around it. And it's got Tres Nuit. Of course, it's a absolute fingerprint magnet. And then you got at the top Armaf. The back just reiterates the batch number and that it's made in France. And then the underside has 3 different languages of descriptive definitions of what this is. Now, weird bottle, right? But I think it's cool. Let's talk a little bit about Green Irish Tweed. As you can tell, I have my tweed on just for this video. I act like I don't wear tweed every day, but I actually do a lot of times. But it's not green and it's usually not Irish. I think Green Irish Tweed by far is my favorite Creed fragrance. With that being said, I'm not a huge Creed guy, but Green Irish Tweed has just a phenomenal scent profile, and Green Irish Tweed is an older scent, really. I think a lot of people have been made aware of Green Irish Tweed through launched in 1985 and was one of the original fragrances created by Olivier Creed and Pierre Bourdon. So, it is, I don't know how old Creed's oldest fragrance is, but this fragrance has been around for quite some time. So, what makes Tres Nuit different? Tres Nuit was just launched not long ago, and I cannot find any information on who designed it. I will say, and I've gone over this in another video, there's a difference between colognes that are replicas and colognes that are clones. A replica is something that is inspired by the cologne and tries to take on its characteristics but also live a life of its own. Then there's a clone, and a clone attempts to be a side-by-side exact copy of the cologne. Tres Nuit is a clone. It's not a replica. And I'm going to read some of the notes here. So let's do a side-by-side comparison with Tres Nuit and Green Irish Tweed. The top notes for Green Irish Tweed are lemon verbena and iris. The top notes for Tres Nuit, lemon verbena, iris, and lemon. So they do add some citrus. The middle notes for Green Irish Tweed, violet leaf. The middle notes for Tres Nuit, violet and lavender, which I guess fitting that I wore my purple. The base notes for Green Irish Tweed, ambergris and sandalwood, the staple sandalwood. Fantastic. And then the base notes for Tres Nuit are ambergris. It's a weird name. And sandalwood. So, as you can tell, the notes, with the exception of the middle notes, which adds in violet, adds in lavender, and the top note, which adds in lemon, it is literally a side-by-side copy of Green Irish Tweed, which I think is a good thing, because I think some of these fragrance houses have taken upon themselves not only to recreate and clone a fragrance, but also add what they think would make it better. And arguably it does that here. The biggest pros of Tres Nuit by Fragrantica is it's good for spring and summer. It's basically a copy of Green Irish Tweed, and it's suitable for work and casual occasions. The cons of Tres Nuit, the biggest con is the bottle. They don't like the fact that the bottle is shaped the way it is. I don't have a problem with it. And honestly, if you have a cologne and the person's biggest complaint has nothing to do with the fragrance, I think you made a pretty good cologne. They also say that it's not suitable for winter and it has a poor longevity. I have not had that be my case at all. Not even a little bit. I sprayed something on my shirt. I sprayed Tres Nuit on my shirt, and I could still smell it 3 days later. So, that has not been my experience. Green Irish Tweed has a 4.32 out of 5 with about 8,000 votes. So, people absolutely love Green Irish Tweed. And Green Irish Tweed retails for a crazy number, over $300. And Tres Nuit, on the other hand, retails for about $25 and has a 4.15 out of 5 with 23,000 votes. much higher than that, because in totality of the circumstances, there's no reason not to get this cologne. Let's go ahead and put it on paper. Tester strip, blank. Always got to check that first. Alright, so again, I don't have a problem with this bottle. To me, it's easy, but I also have very large hands. Oh my goodness, that atomizer is kicking. I sprayed an atomizer earlier and it dribbled, and it was like really gross and really sad to watch it just dribble and not spray. So, man, you don't get that there. Goodness, the cap's hard to put on. But again, if that's your biggest complaint about the cologne, you got a pretty gosh darn good fragrance there. So, at first you do get hit a little bit with the alcohol scent. I mean, truly it kind of does take your breath away a little bit, but that's not that wholly different than Green Irish Tweed. It's a little bit more synthetic, yes. You get that lemon, and I think that the iris is actually playing coy a little bit in here. I was surprised to see that iris was one of the main fragrances, because I can't really pick it up that much, especially when you sample colognes like Valentino Uomo, where the iris is so heavy, and iris is great in fall and winter scent. You just don't get that much iris here, honestly. At least I don't. In that middle, after the citrus dies down a little bit, you do start getting more of that muskiness that I think is brought on by the spicy notes. But you also get a very calming effect that I know is coming from the lavender, because I have a very strong response to lavender as far as relaxation. You get that lavender, you get that violet. It's like taking a breath and calming down. That's what this is. And then the base notes, when it dries, really comes through with the sandalwood and the ambergris. That name is just awful. Ambergris, wow. But unlike this fragrance is incredible. I don't see why people hate on this thing. I don't see why people say it's not a good clone of Green Irish Tweed. Most people don't know what Green Irish Tweed smells like. I almost said tastes like. Hopefully everybody doesn't know what Green Irish Tweed tastes like. Wow, okay. Most people don't know what Green Irish Tweed smells like. They would not be able to differentiate this. And if they smelled it that one time in a store, or if they used to wear Green Irish Tweed and they got one bottle, but they ran out and they didn't feel like paying $300 or $400 for a new bottle, they would be perfectly happy with Tres Nuit at $25 a bottle. It's unbelievable the value you're getting from this guy. And Armaf did not pay me anything to say that. I wouldn't even know how to get paid to say that. That is just my objective opinion of not liking greed and their practices. I think you could almost call them greed. Not with a C, but with a G. I mean, I really do not like their practices and what they've done. This is just phenomenal. It's fantastic scent. One thing I'd like to say, oh yeah, now you're really having those wood notes. Gorgeous. One thing I'd like to say is that I used Cool Water by David Off. Not that much, but whenever I was a teenager and was broke and I couldn't afford anything, I got Cool Water. And somebody actually told me that Cool Water is a clone of Green Irish Tweed. That, for me, is a resounding no. Absolutely not. I don't get Green Irish Tweed at all from Cool Water. I would go get it for my collection, but I really have grown to dislike the scent. Objectively speaking, I think it's a good scent. I think it was well done. But it's so heavy on the citrus, and it has such a strong, lingering alcohol to it that it honestly makes me nauseous. And you'll see that with a lot of fragrances. You'll find fragrances that do make you nauseous, and that's one of them for me. When you smell Tres Nuit and Davidoff's Cool Water, you won't even think that they're replicating the same fragrance, because Tres Nuit is so much more accurate and so much better and so much calmer and so much more digestible. I like to use a word, perfectly inoffensive. And that's what Tres Nuit is. Is this a good winter scent? Is this a good fall scent? No, absolutely not. Despite the sandalwood and the iris, nothing about this fragrance screams winter. You could probably get away with it for fall. In fact, I'll go on record saying that you could probably get away with this for fall. But for winter, I don't see it. But for spring and for summer, there's no reason why you wouldn't. So, let's finish this off with some more felt. And a powerful Tres Nuit by Armaf. Don't waste your time, don't waste your money with greed. Go ahead and get 15 Tres Nuits for the price of one Green Irish Tweed, or get the clone and spend your money collecting other fragrances as well. Remember to subscribe if you want to see more of this content. If you're asleep, I hope you're having a good one. If you're awake, I hope you found this relaxing and informative. This is Tres Nuit by Armaf.